This time on Ask Rad Rat, we're talking about how you can stay injury-free as you get older, and also whatever happened to Popwar. Let's get started. Welcome back to another Ask Rad Rat. This is a series where I answer your questions about skateboarding and skateboarding-related topics. Make sure you subscribe so you can learn something new about skateboarding 3 times a week. We're talking game reviews, trick histories, all kinds of stuff about skateboarding. So let's get into today's questions. The first one is from Ruben Solar, who asked, how do you stay injury-free and progress when you get older? So I think at least 4 people asked me this question recently, and I might not be the best source because I'm only 29, but I have been having a lot of knee troubles and stuff, which I've been dealing with. So I do have a little bit of insight on that I can talk about. Also, recently on the F Forum, which is a freestyle community on Facebook, it's a Facebook group, they were talking about that there too. Seems like it's on a lot of people's minds right now. So let's talk about it. I think one of the biggest issues that you can run into if you're skating less often, you know, you got a desk job and you're doing all kinds of other stuff, and then when you do try to skate, you end up getting hurt because you're pushing yourself just as hard as you used to. You know, like you can't kind of halfway do a kickflip. You either do it or you fall, right? So it's kind of tough to really tone down your skating. So you end up kind of pushing yourself too hard. So for me, the biggest thing, I've had this knee injury for about 5 years. A lot of you guys are new subscribers, so you haven't heard about it, but I've had this injury where I could skate for maybe about 10 minutes and then I'd be out for a week, for real. So I would skate and then I couldn't do anything active. I couldn't go for a hike. I couldn't even go for a walk. I could do almost nothing for the rest of the week while it healed back to the point where it was still injured. But yeah, so that sucked. And the biggest thing for me that I had to deal with, the way I recovered, is by doing a lot of hamstring and glute exercises and abs as well. There's this thing about the way that you balance yourself. They're called your plane of stabilization or something like that. So you either use the front of your body, your abs, and the back of your legs, so your hamstrings and glutes. And that keeps you like from tipping over. That's the muscles that you use. And the problem is, as you do more desk job type of stuff, which is what I was doing, I was in the car 3 hours a day, I was at a desk for 9 hours a day. As you start to kind of hunch forward, your posture gets worse, and that kind of puts more of your weight into your quads, and your quads get too strong, and then that puts your knee out of balance. It's a whole thing. I'm gonna make a series about that. If and when I fully recover from my knee problems, I will make a video about that. But for me, the biggest thing was just doing a lot of squats, doing like bridges, doing lots of ab and core work, and trying to just get myself back in shape in general, which helped skateboarding. So on the F Forum, where people were talking about like doing, you know, any kind of daily exercise, your stretches and some, you know, light yoga or whatever the case may be, just staying active in general, staying in good shape in general. Even if you can't skate as often, you need to at least do something to keep yourself going. And that would be the biggest thing. So I don't have a lot of experience with, like, you know, injuries from falling down 20 stairs or anything like that. But I think that is kind of the biggest thing to do. Although a lot of people on the F Forum were just recommending drinking a lot. So take that however you want, but you definitely just need to stay in shape in general. The second question was from David Roebuck, who asked what happened to Popwar, which was pretty interesting because I used to have a Popwar deck. So this was back in the day. They were around from about 2003 to 2005, and Popwar was really cool. A lot of people loved them. They had really cool graphics. They had this bright green color they used on everything, and they had this flat graphic style, which was really ahead of its time. So in like 2010, Apple made it uncool to design things to look real with like shadows and stuff. And so everything became flat. There was like the Google, material design came out a few years ago. And it kind of looks like this old Popwar stuff. Like they were really ahead of their time in their style and the graphics and everything. And their team was really good as well. And I remember them being really popular at the time, and then they disappeared. So what's the deal there? Well, okay, so let's get to how they started. I did a little bit of research about this, and New Deal skateboards went out of business, and then it was replaced. And the thing that they thought happened is that the name New Deal just wasn't cool enough. So people knew about New Deal, they knew that the boards were good, they just weren't buying them. And, you know, whether it sounded too much like history class with the New Deal and all that kind of stuff, I don't know, but they decided to make Populous, and that kind of died out almost immediately and then went with Popwar. And I remember back then, everyone thought that Popwar was just raw pop backwards, and it is, but when you look at things from that time and like interviews with those guys, no one says that that was the reason behind it. They just wanted to name it something that sounded cool and like pop culture-y. So I don't know if that's really what was going through their minds or not. But they came up with that, and then it really took off. But their distributor, Giant Distribution, was sold, and then it went out of business, and all kinds of other stuff happened. And then Popwar itself, the brand, was stuck to the Giant Distribution label. Like, it's still owned by them, and even though they're not using it, they couldn't pull it away and do it independently. So unfortunately, that's what happened. They were really cool boards, and I loved mine, but that's where they went. I think a lot of brands went down when that happened too. So that's what happened with Popwar. If you have any more questions, let me know. I have links to my Instagram and Twitter below in the description. Send me a DM on either of those. It's the easiest way to get in contact with me. And I will try to answer your question on the next batch that I record. So until then, here are some more videos you might want to check out. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you can learn something new about skateboarding 3 times a week. And thank you for watching.